Christian parenting.
Hey Mama, I'm Pamela Hinkleman, certified empty nest coach, and you're listening to the Midlife Mama podcast. This show is for Christian moms navigating the empty nest, learning how to let go with grace, set healthy boundaries, reconnect in marriage, and step confidently into their God-given purpose. Each week, I'll coach you through this season with faith-filled encouragement, honest conversations, and practical tools that you can apply right away to your relationships and your life. If this episode encourages you, I'd be grateful if you leave a quick rating and review. It helps other moms find the support they need. You'll find the link in the show notes. And make sure you're following the podcast. And let's get started. If you've ever wondered why your heart aches after your children leave home, even though they're doing exactly what you raised them to do, this conversation is for you. The grief of the empty nest is real, yet it's often misunderstood because no one has died. It's a transition that changes your daily life, your identity, and the rhythm of your home. Today, I'm joined by author Lisa Appelo to talk about her beautiful new book, God of Comfort. Lisa knows grief in a deeply personal way. After losing her husband unexpectedly, she raised 7 children while learning to lean on God's faithfulness through unimaginable loss. In this episode, we're exploring what God's comfort looks like during the quieter grief of motherhood as our children grow up, move away, and begin building lives of their own. Whether you've recently dropped a child off at college, you're adjusting to an empty house, or you're grieving another transition with your adult children, I pray this conversation reminds you that God is near. He sees every tear, and his comfort is available for every season of motherhood. Let's jump into the conversation with Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, Pamela, good to be with you.
I am so excited about this beautiful book. Friends, you are going to love this. Every word is tender and helpful. So, Lisa, I would love you to tell my listeners what your summer looks like.
What my summer looks like right now, it's honestly, so I am not traveling at all, which feels so good because I've done a lot. My youngest graduated last year, my youngest of 7.
Oh,
And so I had really taken a year off of traveling or speaking and just to launch her well. I'm a single mom. So I was her one person who was cheering her. And what she was out, I was like, okay, Lord, whatever you have for me. And he opened the door. So I have been traveling and it feels so good to be home this summer.
that's beautiful. So, as a widow and a mother of 7, you've experienced profound grief alongside the many transitions of motherhood. What have those different kinds of loss taught you about God's comfort?
Yeah. Loss can really be a spectrum, can't it? We can have the tragic losses like we have had in our family to really just deep disappointments. But in each of those, God is with us. He sees us, he understands. And sometimes I think we chide ourselves for feeling all the emotions, especially if it's not loss of a person, if it's some other kind form of grief. But God made us with emotions. He made us to think and to do and to feel. And so our emotions are his very good idea. He gives us permission and invites us really to bring those emotions to him. So I think the number one thing I've learned a lot, the number one thing I would have to say is to go to God with my 2 heavy emotions, my 2 heavy disappointment, my 2 heavy pain, my 2 heavy worry, all of those, and unburden my heart to him.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Mama, did you hear what she said? Whenever we have a loss of any kind, it's too heavy, it's too hard, it's too difficult, we are to run to God. He never chides us about our emotions. He made us these emotional creatures. And if you look at the feeling wheel, I think there's 170 options. The way and the expression of the emotion, we're never chided for. And that's beautiful. So let's jump into this topic of transitional grief. Often transitional grief catches the mom off guard because no one has died, and yet the ache is very real. How would you define transitional grief, and why do you think it's so easy for mothers to dismiss or minimize what they're feeling when their kids leave home?
Transitional grief would be the ending of one season in our life and the dawning of another. Because we just have a bent, a human bent to what we already know, where we've already been. We have no idea what lies ahead. And so there's some worry there and fear, and we just are certain it's not gonna be as good as the chapter we left. I remember taking my firstborn to college, and we went to he had 3 days of college orientation. So it was during the summer. And now I had 6 other kids at home, but this was my first one, and I could not believe it. When we got to the university, they split us up. He went one way for 3 days, and I went a whole like, I was eating lunch with strangers. I expected this was gonna be our experience together. And I remember not wanting to eat lunch with strangers and going to my car after sitting through those first orientation sessions, and I called my husband, and I could not even get the words out. I was doing one of these just could not even speak, and I had this image of this was my first little bird fledging, and life would never be like this again, and one by one, my life was now gonna be letting go, and man, I grieved it hard. Now, I will tell you, I still have 2 at home. They have graduated high school, and they are launching differently than their other siblings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that transitional grief, though, that was the anticipatory grief, 'cause I wasn't
Right.
even in it yet, and I was already
Yeah.
grieving that these 7 would never be under the roof. It would be very rare that we would all be under the roof again. But then we have to what I have learned is that God has goodness for us, and his goodness does not stop and start. It's not more in one season and less in another. It is not more from one person and less for us. It is a infinite amount of goodness.
Oh,
And we
that's
may
so
not
good.
feel it, we may not sense it, maybe a troubling or difficult season, but that good is there. And if we will look for it, then we will for sure see it.
I love that. It's a matter of what we focus on. I think it's so important to grieve the change. It's okay. Take a little time. Remember when you walked into the home and their bedroom was empty? You were like, "Oh my gosh." And every time you walked by the bedroom, I had 5 kids, and I thought it would get easier, but still with number 5. And she was so independent, so capable, and I did really good of just letting her do her thing, and her dad schlepped the refrigerator up 3 flights of stairs in 100-degree weather. Mm, but she got her little dorm room set, and her little plants were placed, and it looked so cute, and she was like, "Okay, guys, I'm good." She was sad that we were sad. And we got in the car and we drove that 3 hours home and we said, "Wow, our nest is officially empty." We knew this was coming. Everybody knows it's coming. And yet we still face it with a little sense of loss. So I
Yeah.
wanna
There's that
know.
meme that says, "Don't cry because it's over." Something like laugh or rejoice that it happened. And I
Yeah.
say, no, you can
No.
cry. It's okay to cry that it's over. That's part of processing it, is to
Right.
actually cry that this is over and you did like it and you loved that season and God will have more. But you can cry and then move fully trusting into the next season.
The problem comes when you get stuck there. And if you get stuck there for more than a few weeks, a couple months max, then you need to reach out to someone and say, "I'm not handling this well. I'm not processing seeing this well." So let's talk about the mom who feels ashamed of her sadness. How can we help her?
Our emotions are not signs that we're doing it wrong. They're signals that something in our life has gone wrong or has changed. And it is normal, as we talked about early, or it's normal for God to give us these emotions in order to process loss. Emotions really give life full color. If we did not have a life of emotions, we would not have the joy, but would also not have the sadness. It would be like tasting a sandwich just had 2 slices of white bread and no good that good mustard or that
Yeah.
rich cheese that you put on it, the things that make life so good. But I would say to get rid of this shame, kick that to the curb. That is not from the Lord. That is either your own expectations of what you should be doing or somebody else is imposing that on you, cultural
Yes.
expectations, or it's the enemy. And just take your emotions to the Lord. Now, you might be relieved. You might be relieved that your child is leaving, and you might feel shame for that because your friends are crying. It was a tough senior year. It was a relationship, and your relationship is actually going to flourish more after your child gets wings. That's okay too. So I would just encourage that mom to be honest with the Lord. She doesn't have to fake that she's fine or that she's got it all put together.
Mm.
Be honest with the Lord. Bring those emotions to Him. Our emotions are not just safe with God, they are safest with God. And honestly, nobody around you may even understand all that's in your heart. You may not even. We may not even understand until it like surfaces. But God understands, and He made us, and so He knows best how to comfort us and walk us through this.
Hey mama, if your house feels too quiet and your heart feels too heavy after launching your child, I've created a guide just for you. It's called Journaling Through Transitional Grief, a gentle, faith-filled resource to help you process the deep emotions of letting go. Inside, you'll find 6 reflection questions that will help you name your feelings, invite God into the grief, and experience His comfort in the middle of change. Remember, transitional grief is only a season, and God is leading you toward peace, purpose, and joy. You can grab your free copy at the link in the show notes. Now, let's get back to our conversation.
So I would love for you to share. I love the title of your book, God of Comfort. And so, in a practical way, what did that look like for you in your seasons of loss? And then what can that look like for moms who are listening?
This book grew out of a deep season, an unexpected season of loss for us. So I had launched that first son, and I remember thinking, laying on my pillow, thinking, I just have to do this 6 more times. I don't know how I'm free. And then that summer, he came home from college. Life was busy. I had a 4-year-old, 6-year-old, tweens, teens, all the way up to my oldest was 19. And I went to bed, happily married, not perfectly married. We'd had struggles and tests of our faith and parenting struggles, financial issues we had to work through, but happily married in that season to my high school sweetheart. And I woke up the next morning a widow with no signs, no symptoms. He had a cardiac arrest on the pillow next to mine, and we did all the things. We did the CPR, called the ambulance, taken, but they told me in the hospital, in that room you never want to go in, that they had worked on him for over 2 hours and they had never been able to revive him. And so there I was, a single mom of 7.
Yeah.
And what I found was that God meets us in every place of pain. Grief, whether you are grieving a child going off to college, whether you're grieving a child who's making decisions that you did not see coming and were not part of how you raised them, whether you see a child suffering, our children can suffer, and there are things that we can't fix for them. We can only walk with them. Whatever it is, even in your own life, if there's a chronic illness that helps you that keeps you from parenting the way you wanted, or a marriage situation, just so many ways we can come to grace. That it's more than sadness. It's a layers of emotion. Usually there are secondary losses, loss of friendships, loss of life the way we wanted it, loss of a future that we thought we would have. There are regrets that we're processing. There is fear that we're processing. There is loneliness in that season. Even if you have a house full of people, even if you have a stable marriage, your spouse may not understand it. And so you feel alone in a lot of what you're feeling. In every one of those places, God is not just your comfort, but He meets you there. And the book really points to His facets of character. So God who goes with us, God who goes before us, God who bottles my tears. All these ways that God is for us in our grief.
That's beautiful. I think that's the crux of it, is just turning to Him. No matter what level you're at, no matter what you're feeling, God is so ready and willing to meet us with such compassion, such tenderness, such just warmth. I think compassion,
What I found too is that His comfort is very practical. His help is very practical and personal. I don't think I realized that to the extent that I did when I was utterly dependent on Him for it. And sometimes that practicality is a friend showing up, or a text coming at the right time, or an invitation to join somebody for something, or something delivered into your mailbox. But God is, and sometimes it's just so personal. It's a prayer. It's something that wouldn't mean anything to anybody else. And if you were to share it, it just doesn't have an impact. But God saw you in that moment and knows exactly how to minister, particularly to your heart. And He is like that. He is so personal.
I love that. So grief has a way of revealing what our hearts have been holding on to. I want to know, what have you learned about identity, surrender, and trusting God when He asks us to loosen our grip on the people we love the most?
Oh, well, loss always involves a change in identity.
Yes.
And for me, when I went from married to single, and that was a
Hmm.
huge change. Some
Hmm.
people are going to go from PTA mom and showing up at the school doing all the things and band mom to empty nest mom.
Yeah.
That is a huge change in identity, and that's part of what we're having to process. What I found is that while my role may change, my earthly role may change, the
Hmm.
purpose God has planned, the foundations of the world do not change.
Yes.
And it's not wasted. All of that we did, that season that we did, if you set your career aside, if you set things aside that you wanted to do, that is not wasted time. God, it will use all of those seasons for the next thing that He brings you to. But it
Yes.
is a process, and we do have to go to Him and really root ourselves in being His daughter, right? That never changes. We are His daughter. And while everything around us may change, the purposes He has for us and our identity in Him does not change.
That's so good. I like to say that mothering, being a mom was just one role we play in this grand scheme of life. And God has so much good apart from that. And the lessons that we learned and the activities that we did all point us to the future and what He has for us. You're so right. It's not wasted. But being a mom is just one role. And God has even more after our kids are grown. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. And it's a gift.
And we're not done. I end up mothering that. It changes. It looks different. You may
Yes.
not get a vote anymore, or they're going to call you when they're making
Yeah.
a decision. That's a rude awakening.
Yeah.
But your kids always want a home to come home to. They
Amen.
always want to come home and know that you are their cheerleader. You are one of their primary cheerleaders in life, that you believe in them, that you will root for them. And let me tell you, they're going to walk through suffering. They
They
will.
are.
And they need a place to land that has wisdom, but also has love. And I've seen that with my adult kids in
That's
numerous
right.
ways.
Yep. I want to be a safe place for my kids to land, even when we disagree, even when they're not walking with the Lord. I'm going to love them. I'm going to love them and love them. So if you could sit across the table from the mom who just dropped her youngest child off at college and she's crying all the way home, what would you want her to know about this season, and what hope would you leave her with?
I have a mom in mind, a friend of mine who is dropping her youngest son in a few months to college, to his dream school. She's done an amazing job. He just could not have done better in high school. And so he seems ready, but she's going to come home to a house with 2 dogs, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
even her marriage has changed in the last few years. And I think I would tell her that this is a great time to really use the time that she has to explore her relationship with the Lord, to just
Mhm.
lean into Him even more, to just maybe do that study of that time in the Word that she never had before because she was always up and out of the house for
Yeah.
carpool or whatever, and to let the Lord really make this a rich season in her life. It will look different for her, but it can be such a season where she's able to give and pour out in a different way. And it doesn't have to happen at once. She doesn't have to sign up for all. I would say don't sign up for all the committees right at once.
Take a break.
You're tired. You're tired.
Yeah, you will fill your time. Yep. Yep.
But let Him lead, because He will
Yes.
lead you to something or someone or some way that you can continue to pour out.
That's right. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today, Lisa. Could you please tell my listeners where they can find your online work and your new book, God of Comfort?
Yes. So you can find me at Lisa Appelo, 2 P's, 1 L, pretty much everywhere, online and Instagram, Facebook. And then if they want to learn about the book, they can go to godofcomfortbook.com and they'll find all the information there.
Wonderful. I will leave those links in the show notes. Wasn't that such a comforting conversation? I hope Lisa's words reminded you that your grief isn't something to hide or rush through. It's an invitation to draw closer to God, who promises to be near to the brokenhearted and faithful through every transition. The same God who carried you through the years of raising children will faithfully carry you through this season too. Here's your coaching tip of the week. In each episode, I will give you one actionable step to improve your life. Remember, you can't change everything, but you can take one step to be better. This week, I just want you to take some time and sit with God in your grief and just pour it out and allow Him to comfort him and be on the lookout for the very personal ways that He meets you and He sees you by what He presents in your life. If you're finding this season especially difficult and you'd like someone to walk alongside you, I'd love to invite you to apply for one-on-one coaching. You will find all the details in the show notes. Until next time, remember that letting go doesn't mean letting love go. God is faithfully leading you and your adult children, and you can trust Him with every step. Grace and peace, Mama. You've got this, and God's got you.
Thank you so much for spending time with me on the Midlife Mama podcast. My hope is that you leave each episode feeling encouraged, grounded, and clearer. Clearer about what you're feeling, what God may be stirring in you, and how to move forward in the season of the empty nest. Through these conversations, I'm not just sharing stories, I'm coaching you, helping you name what's happening beneath the surface, challenging the thoughts that keep you stuck, and take intentional steps toward peace and confidence as a midlife mom. If you're ready to go deeper and want personalized coaching support, I invite you to apply for coaching. Coaching is a focused one-on-one space where we work together to gain clarity, process emotions, and discern what God is calling you to in this next chapter. You'll find the application linked in the show notes, and let's stay connected. You can find me on Instagram at @phinkelman, that's PHENKELMAN, or on Facebook at Pamela Hinkelman, Empty Nest Coach. You don't have to figure out this season alone, Mama. Support and direction are possible, and I'm here when you're ready.